Today we're making my favorite apple dessert, a galette. It's a French style of pie where the dough is folded over the fruit but doesn't cover it completely. The first order of business is to choose an apple type that holds shape after baking. I'm using Honeycrisp, but you can also go with Pink Lady, Granny Smith, Golden Delicious, Golden Blushing, or Northern Spy. Please ignore the common wisdom about using cortland apples. They turn to mush, so unless you want applesauce in a crust, stay away from cortlands. Half, core, and peel your apples. Then cut them into wedges. I ended up using 4 medium apples here. Add a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, a generous squirt of lemon, 4 tablespoons of sugar, and the tiniest pinch of salt. As always, the ingredient amounts are on my blog linked below this video. Toss it all together and let sit for at least 30 minutes to release the juice, but longer is fine. While the apples are releasing their juice, let's roll out the pie dough. As always, the food porn enthusiasts should just keep on watching, and serious bakers should click here for pie dough recipe and here for rolling out instructions. After I roll out the dough to 1/8 inch thickness, I like to go around the edges with a rolling pin to thin them out. This prevents the dough from overwhelming the fruit. Unstick your edges with a pastry scraper. Then transfer the dough to a parchment paper lined baking sheet. Chill in the fridge for at least 20 minutes to relax the gluten and preheat your oven with the pizza stone set on the bottom rack to 400 degrees for at least 30 minutes before baking. If you don't have a pizza stone, use an inverted baking sheet. The direct heat helps the dough set before it gets soggy. Our apples have released lots of juice and we're going to remove it to prevent a soggy crust. Don't worry, the juice won't go to waste. We'll make a fabulous glaze out of it to finish our galette. I learned this brilliant technique from Rose Levy-Berenbaum, who taught me more than anyone else about the art of baking. It doesn't just work for apples, but for all fruit that you're going to put into a pie, tart, or galette. Before filling the dough, make sure it's pliable. If it got stiff in the fridge, give it 5 to 10 minutes to warm up so that you don't crack it. Sprinkle the bottom with about 2 tablespoons of sugar, leaving a 2.5 inch border. Dampen the apples and position them on the sugar, making sure nothing is poking out. Fold the dough over the apples and pinch it together. Notice how I keep one hand under the dough so that I can pinch it with my thumb. I have about 1 tablespoon of melted butter here. Let's brush our dough and the apples. Now let's sprinkle everything with sugar. And we're ready to bake. Place in the preheated 400-degree oven on the bottom rack for 20 to 25 minutes. When your galette picks up a bit of color and looks like this, get your glaze ready. Set the pan with juice over high heat and boil it down until syrupy. Stir in a tablespoon of apricot preserve or maple syrup and mix until everything melts together. Get your galette out of the oven and drizzle the apples with the glaze. Make sure to touch up all the apple ribs that are sticking out. This will help them caramelize. Now our goal is to brown the top of the galette. So we'll set it on the upper middle rack for 20 to 30 minutes, or until it looks like this. If your apples are starting to burn before they are tender, lower the heat to 350 degrees. Cool the galette for at least 30 minutes on a rack and serve. It can be made earlier in the day and served at room temperature or rewarmed. This dough is so shatteringly crisp, not a trace of sogginess. You know how I like my creme fraiche? But of course, ice cream works too. I know you'll want to see me eat this galette on camera, but I have to pick up a kid from daycare. So stop watching YouTube and get to work so that you can taste this appalicious dessert for yourself. Don't forget to subscribe to Helen's Kitchen channel, and if you're ever in the Boston area, maybe I'll see you in one of my classes.